Hey, what up, world? Hope you guys enjoying the morning. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, there we go. Wait for everything to come into focus. Hope you guys are enjoying the morning. Welcome to another jam-packed episode of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. This episode is really going to be diving into a couple random things, random topics, going into certain NFL issues that I felt didn't really get discussed over the course of the Super Bowl. So I definitely want to make sure that we talk about it and discuss it now. It's funny because honestly, during the Super Bowl, there's a lot of things that are going on that most people don't tend to really think about or really kind of put into the equation when you're talking about, you know, performances and how guys will play and things of that nature. It's usually about the spectacle in the event. This episode, I want to really dive into things that the NFL didn't want you to really talk about or discuss during the course of that week and that week and a half where the media had, supreme access to the players and the team. And it's just one of those things where right now, like, topic is being talked about like grass fields. Also, we're going to discuss Derek Carr and his possible return coming back to the NFL and what that will entail. So, as always, like I said, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There will also be within the links in the description box of this video. You'll be able to access some of the advertisement, promotional stuff that I have going on right now, whether it be for PlayStation Direct, whether it be for Malware Bytes, whether it be for StubHub. And I implore you right now with all the tickets and all the different events that are going on, StubHub is definitely something that you might want to plug into. You got Harry Styles performing right now, Pitbull performance. Like I said, definitely check that out, guys, if you really are interested, really want to get into that. But again, so we can really dive into it, really get into the show. The main thing I really want to talk about first is the 18-game schedule, why it didn't go through, what seems to be the issue, and why things aren't going the way the NFL wants it to. Okay. During media week, it was very, very, let's say, well-known going into it that there was going to be a foregone conclusion that the NFL was going to get the okay for the 18th game. There wasn't going to be much argument towards that. It kind of seemed like, all that it was going to take was for the NFL to just say, okay, and then it was going to happen. Well, turns out that's not the case. That's not the case. I'm going to share my screen with you guys real quick. And I'm going to get you right here on the page where I'm at. And it should tell you everything that you need to know here. When you talk about the NFL, you got this article from ESPN.com. NFLPA's interim boss, players have no appetite for an 18th game. This is kind of like basically a foregone conclusion, right? Wrong. As we see here, despite a renewed push from NFL ownership to move towards the 18 regular season games, NFL Players Association leadership made it clear Tuesday that the players aren't in support of an expanded regular season schedule. No shock fucking there. Quote here from NFLPA Interim Executive Director David White. Our members have no appetite for a regular season 18th game. The 18th game is not casual for us. It's a very serious issue. It's something that comes out of negotiations, and nothing will move forward until players have the opportunity to account for all of those factors that take into consideration and then go through negotiations, agree or not to the 18th game. Final quote, but as it stands right now, players have been very clear they don't have an appetite for it. Then it goes on further. You got NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell adding that 18th game was not a given at his pre-Super Bowl news press conference on this past Monday. And New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft spoke about an expanded schedule with the certainty in a January radio appearance on 98.5 The Sports Hub from Gillette Stadium. So this is not shocking to me. This is basically one of those things where I just naturally assumed it wasn't going to happen. I mean, when you take into account that this man, Roger Goodell, and the owners, they were honestly under the assumption that there was going to be no way in hell that they weren't going to get this 18th game passed through. Now, I don't know why they thought that necessarily, because again, when you take into account the fact that, you actually have to have the NFLPA sign off on this. You talk so much about player safety and player health, but yet, lo and behold, when, shit hits the fan, you're talking about revenue. So clearly, guys, to the average fan that's confused about this or wondering, this is not about revenue. This is not about revenue whatsoever. This is not about player health, whatsoever. This is all about revenue. These guys are completely concerned with making money. That is all it is. That's all it's ever been. I'm disturbed by it, honestly. quite shocked by the fact that they're able to promote to the fan base and promote to the people that all they're concerned about is making sure that, you know, people get a great product on the field and that people get a great game. But honestly, it's not about the game. It's not about the players. I mean, the players are literally livestock and cattle to these guys. You know, sometimes you hear the word property or talent or asset being used, which I find completely fucking disrespectful. But be that as it may, a lot of these guys, when they're going out there on the field, they're going out there for contracts that, let's just say, for lack of better words, we're not even going to talk on the guys of the top tier level of contracts. We're just talking about mid-level guys. These guys are not going to last in the NFL. These guys are not going to make it long term. So to be put out there, to have your body at risk, to play, I mean, some of these schedules are crazy. I mean, Eagles fans like myself know, if you pay attention to the Eagles and let alone the Chiefs schedule from a year ago, look at all those primetime games. Look at all those times they had to play back-to-backs, or they had those 10-day stretches, but they played a game here, played a game there, or played a game in Sao Paulo, played a game, and it's a lot. It's a lot to really try to get somebody to really, you know, stay healthy throughout the duration of a season and not get injured, not have to worry about any issues. That's just a lot for somebody to have to worry about, let alone an NFL player. And then you're talking about adding the 18th game when ultimately there's really no benefit to the player to do it. I mean, essentially, this is just the NFL just being fucking greedy. I don't know if they realize it or not, but there is a huge thing that's called, you know, overconsumption, proliferation. That's something they have to worry about. And nobody is immune to it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a major business. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, if you're just within a realm or a business that, whether it's like, for instance, I'm in Atlantic City. There's a lot of dispensaries here. There's proliferation of dispensaries. Probably wouldn't be your best idea to open up another dispensary right now because there's already a shitload of them. So you just understand the supply and demand, pay attention to your location, the community you're in, the business. However, but I digress. The point being, the NFL does not give a fuck about these players. They are strictly concerned about profit and dollar margin. And right now, they're just looking at more ways that they can make money. I mean, hell, I don't know if you guys are noticing or not. YouTube they're trying to set up a major deal with them. They already got Amazon. They already got CBS and Fox and you know, all and NBC and all the network deals set up. So this is quite startling that they're still making this major push for 18 games. I'm shocked in the aspect that it hasn't gone through yet. I mean, we all run into the assumption that, 18 games, it was a foregone fucking conclusion. They're definitely going to get it. Well, it's 2026 and it has not happened, so kind of shocking. Flag was flying. But anyway, definitely revealing there. And then you got Robert Kraft's comments where, you know, he's pretty much pushing for this. Robert Kraft has a lot of cachet in the NFL. I don't think people really realize the stain that he has. It's one of those things where, honest to God truth, he's going with the cachet that he has, he's going to get this pushed through. It's going to be a situation where at some point, I think the Players Union will bend. Obviously, with the situation with Lloyd Howe being dispelled a couple months ago, the leadership in the NFLPA right now is not strong. So I don't know what type of push the league will have. I mean, the Players Union will have, but I do know that they pushed hard enough in this, regard with this 18 game that it's not happening. They're like, we'll allow the NFL to do all the little fuck shit they want, but we are not feeding into this shit. So be that as it may, shout out to the Players Union for at least kicking up and doing something. Didn't help with the collusion case. Again, that was Lloyd Howe, different regime. But you just go into a lot of things where NFLPA, I mean, they spoke up about a lot of different things over the course of this week. And like I said, I'm going to touch on the next topic in a little bit. But good to see the NFLPA stand up for the players, not allowing this to go through, making sure that they're doing something to ensure that, you know, these guys are protected. Because you leave it to these fucking owners, these guys will be playing 20 games in the playoffs, and, you know, they'll still be trying to short them on contracts and still be trying to convince us that they're not worth the money that they're due. So, again, shout out to the Players Union for making sure that they didn't fucking fold. It's hard because the NFL, I mean, you're talking about billionaires. You're talking about guys where, you know, when they spend fucking money, they spend fucking money. And you got to really contend with what they're doing. And, you know, sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes these guys will do whatever the hell they have to get their argument across the end zone or the goal line, for lack of better words. And it's just good to see that there's still some fight from the players union. But like I said, wasn't the only thing that the players union was fighting hard over over the course of this past Super Bowl week. I'll dive into this topic that I really have been passionate about, that I really wanted to touch on for a while now. So I'm definitely into it. I'll say. Background, pardon me. Turn that up. Sorry about that. Anyway, nonetheless, turf fields, turf or grass, which is safer? Now, I've been going through this argument now for a while with a lot of my friends, a lot of people that I know that, myself, I used to play Little League football, play some high school football, was invited, to coach Little League football. So I know football, studied it, played it in and out. My whole life, the game of football has been played on grass. There's always been a proponent of feeling about playing on fresh grass, being able to run routes, shifting, going in and out, doing all the necessary things you have to, and then feeling that energy return from the ground, big hit, big catch, landing after a big catch, a huge tackle, whatever it may be. That being said, I think one of the things that is startling is that I noticed, I was born in 1988, so keep in mind, you started really seeing the turf stadiums starting to come into effect in the 70s, obviously with the world famous Astrodome. Like I said, for a local kid like myself, Veteran Stadium, because I was alive for the Veteran Stadium run. They had basically the turf fields as well. Marmar, have a great day. I will. So it's one of those things where you're really realizing that you started to see it 50 years ago. They were making this transition to turf. It looked great on TV, but I always wondered how I felt. And to actually step on a turf field one day and actually feel it was kind of crazy. It's fucking concrete. You are standing on concrete. You are standing on something that is so hard and so oppressive that honestly, if you fall on it, a bone may break. So it's not a situation where you can just afford to be like, fuck it. If I fall here and land on my clavicle, what's the harm? If I land and mess my knee up, I'll be all right. I'll be back in a couple weeks. This shit is like literally playing on concrete. So the NFL started introducing this more and more as time went on. And as a kid, I didn't really understand why they were getting away from grass. Grass was always better. And I noticed watching football or soccer, across the water, they never played really on turf. It was usually on grass fields. So I did some research and found out during Super Bowl week, there was a huge argument from the NFLPA being made to the commissioner and to the NFL that guys want to play back on grass fields. They want to be back on grass fields. Turf has led to way more injuries. I have the numbers here that I'll show you within this live stream, but there are a lot of numbers that show and indicate that this is not conducive for NFL players or football players, period. Especially with the contracts that they're warranting, especially what the teams are asking out of these guys. It should be just second nature that they're playing on grass. But nonetheless, I'm going to dive into some comments that was made over the course of the season that led into Super Bowl week. So I'm going to share my screen in a moment with you guys. A moment. Okay. So as you see here on the screen in this article, December 4th, and this is linked from NFL.com and the Associated Press. The NFL mandates playing surfaces for all stadiums to meet new standards by 2028 to enhance player safety. Now, as we all know, player safety is obviously something that the NFL is big on, which we obviously just dispelled as bullshit in the previous topic. But they're claiming that they want to make sure that all playing surfaces are safe. All playing surfaces being safe and up to spec, up into the 2028 to make sure that, players are not getting injured. They want to reduce that injury rate. And as you go into the article, playing surfaces at every NFL stadium have to meet new enhanced standards set through lab and field testing by the start of the 2028 season. NFL Director Nick Pappas detailed the plans for a program on Thursday that will provide each team a library of approved and accredited NFL fields. Before the start of next season, any new field will immediately have to meet those standards, and all teams will have 2 years to achieve the standards, whether they use a grass or synthetic surface or a hybrid. Keep in mind, hybrid, guys, is turf and grass, or it's like, Most artificial surfaces are replaced every 2 or 3 years. Natural fields can replace several times a season, which again is why that's more beneficial, because I'm pretty sure you guys have been to concerts, you've been in different venues. I'm pretty sure you've seen the field right after a concert. It looks like shit. Or if you have a college game going on, and let's say you're going to Lincoln Financial Field, and the Owls just played the week there prior. The Eagles field, their field staff is so fucking good. They'll make it look like no one was there. But if you're there in the summer, and let's say the Eagles aren't using the stadium and there's been a concert there, you just go look at the grass afterwards. You can clearly see that it needs to be replaced after a concert. So understandable there. Pappas goes on to say that the fields have undergone extensive testing and have been approved by a joint committee with the NFLPA. Quote, it's sort of a red, yellow, green effect. We were obviously trying to phase out fields that we have determined to be less ideal than newer fields coming into the industry. This is a big step for us. This is something that I think has been a great outcome from the Joint Services Committee of the work, the deployment and development of devices, determining the appropriate metrics, and ultimately providing us with a way to substantiate the quality of fields more so than we ever have in the past. Papa says fields have been tested in labs and on site using two main tools. One is called the Beast, which is a traction testing device that replicates the movements of an NFL player. The other is called the Strike Impact Tester, which helps determine the firmness of each field. The goal of the league is to find fields that are consistent as possible across all 30 NFL stadiums, as well as each stadium throughout the season. Papa said the key pillars for a field are optimized playability, reduce injury risk, and player feedback. They go on further, quote from Dr. Alan Sillis, NFL has no plans to require natural grass fields across the league. There are no statistical significant differences in lower extremity injuries. So now, bam, that's what I want to get into. Now, ironically, this year's Super Bowl was played in Levi Stadium for 49ers, which is ironically a grass field. As you guys saw, did you see anybody walking out with any major injuries? Did you see anybody celebrating on the sidelines and potentially blowing an ACL or MCL? Did you see that? No, you didn't see that. You know why you didn't see that? That's because that didn't happen. And that's because when you take into account what's really going on right now, the NFL is playing in our face. The NFL wants you to believe that there's no difference between turf and grass. And I'm going to show you here today, this morning, that it is clearly a clear delineation between grass and turf. So let me stop sharing this and get to my other screen, because it is very, very startling what I was able to find. And we're going to now the former, it used to be, he's now disgraced former NFLPA president J.C. Tretter. Not the best source for a quote these days, but nonetheless, I do want to use it because it was an official link from the NFLPA website. So definitely want to make sure I'm talking on this and discussing this. Only natural grass can level the NFL's playing field. Now, this article was made a while ago. He was arguing for a fact that grass fields need to happen. He talked extensively about his time playing as a youth, practicing indoors on artificial turf and then playing there. But this is right here, and this is the part that I really want you to key in on, guys. The data supports the anecdotes you'll hear from me and other players. Artificial turf is significantly harder on the body than grass. Based on NFL injury data collected from 2012 to 2018, not only was the contact injury rate for lower extremities higher during practices and games held on artificial turf, NFL players consistently experience a much higher rate of non-contact lower extremity injuries on turf compared to natural surfaces. So right there, you're getting the information from the Players Union. They always talk about, the NFL always is big on player feedback, making sure they're getting the word from the players so they have something official to really give to the public and really say to the people, hey, we're really taking player safety, stringently and really making an effort to do this. As you see, again, this is bullshit. You go into it a bit further. Specifically, players have a 28% higher rate of non-contact lower extremity injuries when playing on artificial turf. Of those non-contact injuries, players have a 32% higher rate of non-contact knee injuries on turf and a staggering 69% higher rate of non-contact foot or ankle injuries on turf compared to grass. So, and it goes in a little bit further in the article talking about the measures that the NFL is taking as far as artificial turf manufacturers with developing a surface like natural grass. So that's that hybrid shit I was talking to you about before. But as you can see right here in the bold print, and I want to make sure I'm stating this, NFL clubs should proactively change all field surfaces to natural grass. This is a real thing, guys. They don't want you to know, but the players are fucking sick and tired of playing on turf fields. It's kind of startling because I noticed now too in little leagues, especially the little league team where I play, my local team, the Lake City Dolphins. They just got a new field renovation done. It's beautiful, massive. It's colorful. I like it. Only thing I didn't like was it's turf. You got these young guys, these young bodies playing on turf. Football is already a physical, demanding sport. To have them, to not have the research and the information, and to have that turf field put in, and to have a lot of these guys playing on turf fields, young guys and NFL players, it's just very disparaging. It really shows that people are more focused on the multi-purpose aspect of a stadium. Football is football. A football field is a football field. A soccer field is a soccer field. I get it that you're a business. A lot of these NFL owners are businessmen. When they're opening up these stadiums, their main thought process is what? Make sure that I'm getting as much money as possible, much bang for my buck. But to be quite honest with you, you have the money and the resources where you could possibly open something else, and you don't have to do it there at that venue. Now, if you are going to do it at that venue, take measures to ensure that you're protecting the field. There's been concerts at grass fields all over the fucking place before. Why is it that it's cheaper to take care of that field throughout the year than replacing every 2 or 3 years? I can imagine what the fuck that bill looks like every 2 or 3 years replacing a field surface. Not to mention when it rains and snows, it's worse than grass. It's way worse than grass. So I don't even understand what the thought process with that shit is. It's just really weird how the NFL makes these very retarded, convoluted arguments that really go nowhere. But in their minds, they think the public is not that informed, they're not smart. Well, unfortunately, there are people like myself and thousands of other people out there that know better. This is really hurting players. This is not something that's going to really benefit NFL players long term. This is why guys' careers are shortened so quickly. When you're playing on fake fields, fake surfaces, this is going to lead to you having major knee extremity injuries, major lower ankle and body injuries. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion. The NFL has been selling a bill of goods for this shit for years now. I mean, as you just saw in the article I just posted, and you'll be able to find it in the description box and the link of this video when it's posted. But it's just become a situation where the NFL is just consistently lying about this, amongst other things that they're lying about. But this is definitely it. To go further, now we also have some comments here from Reggie Bush, who I definitely want to discuss right here. I thought his comments were very, very. And keep in mind, this is from the summer of last year via ProFootballTalk.com. Reggie Bush said in 2018 he won a lawsuit against the Rams. Interesting enough, a lot of people don't really know about this, so I definitely want to make sure I discuss this and give it the air and just due that it deserves. In 2018, Reggie Bush won a lawsuit against the Rams over an injury he suffered on a concrete surface behind the sideline after he ran out of bounds. I remember this game. I was actually watching it, so there was an unusual case, but Bush says NFL players are playing on unsafe surfaces every Sunday, and they need to fight back against it. Bush said in an interview with GQ that grass is safer than artificial surfaces, and grass ought to be the only surface NFL games are played on. Quote here from Reggie Bush: "One thing I think that they need to get rid of is that's still out there and it's still an issue is field turf. When we look at the studies and the correlation between field turf and ACLs, PCLs, meniscuses, just about all leg injuries, a lot of it traces back to the surface that you played on." And it has a hyperlink there for you to dig into further. So again, this is, and he goes further in saying they're playing on one of the most dangerous surfaces. We don't see soccer being played on field turf. In Europe, they would never allow that, right? For some reason here, especially NFL, which is the most dangerous sport, you're playing on the most dangerous surface. The reason why it's dangerous is because athletes are now bigger, stronger, faster. It continues to evolve. When you're that strong and that fast, something's going to give. You plant your foot into that turf, and what happens is turf will grab, grass gives. So I thought that was very, very startling. I think that his comments there are very poignant. I think they made the most sense. I mean, to be quite honest with you, this is what I've been arguing for years. Your foot gets caught in that turf. I mean, you see some nasty injuries. Guys' legs get bent back. Shit gets to a point where it's like, oh man, they're not able to even stand up properly. They got to be carried off or carted off. It's nasty. It's horrific injuries at times. And I just think that the fact that the NFL owners are very cheap, they're very, for lack of better words, resistant to try to actually sit there and think like maybe this will just benefit our bottom line by getting this done. But again, like I said, Bush's comments to me were very stark, very poignant. And to further his argument, because I wanted to make sure that I did some research on this. I even went to Fifth Pro, which is a place I'm pretty sure you guys have never heard of, but it's a place where ultimately the Europeans, like Swedish, Northern European soccer is played. For lack of better words, they're not with the shit either. They are not with the shit either. I have an article here. 1 second. Guys. It was posted in 2020, as you guys can see here. So again, all these articles that I'm giving you have all been posted within the past 5 years. We want to play on natural grass. Football players strongly prefer playing on natural grass instead of artificial pitches. It goes in further on the article. Fifth Pro is on the opinion that competitive professional football matches should be played on natural grass locations where this is possible without any problem. Various Fifth Pro member unions surveyed players in their countries in recent years. All surveys have the same conclusion. We, the players, prefer natural grass. So kind of puts that shit to bed right there. Actually, October 2019, the player unions of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden presented the results of a survey that conducted jointly. 85% of players would choose grass and 9% artificial turf. 6% of the 460 players who filled the questionnaire had no preference. You got a quote here from the Dutch national team player, Davy Klaassen. You cannot enjoy playing football on these pitches. And it goes in further. Like I said, I'll have the description link, description for the link of this in the description box of this video. I mean, you got some of the players here. You got different guys giving their quotes. But it says in 2017, captains of Dutch first division teams and their player union, VVCS, urged the Football Association, KNVB, and the league to organize top flight matches on natural grass only. Pitches like these, seriously, you consider leaving the Netherlands. You cannot enjoy playing football on these pitches. So even there, it had got to a point where it was becoming an epidemic, of just where, and again, you have countless guys here right here in the article, as you can see on the screen. They were speaking in their native language that spoke on how bad it was and, just where it's gotten, as far as, trying artificial surfaces. So this is not something that's just a NFL fans issue. This is a worldwide issue. Owners, billionaires are cheap. They do not give a damn about people and let alone their players. So right now, the main goal is to try to save as much money as possible and reduce costs in all aspects of the business. Make as much money as you can without spending. That's just basic business. That being said, this grass issue is definitely something that's not going to go away. You even go further into CNN, who had a very crazy article about it the week of the Super Bowl, actually. Talking to Sanjay Gupta, who is a propagandist. I mean, don't make no mistake. I'm not really a huge fan of Sanjay Gupta by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought it was very poignant that he did this article, right before the Super Bowl, to really dive into it. I mean, the only times he's actually been correct about some things was when he talked about weed, and when he talked about, turf versus grass. So there's a video here that you'll see on the screen. I'm not going to play it, the whole thing, obviously, for copyright issues and things like that. But it goes on where it talks about tens of thousands of people talks about the field use with turf versus grass. CNN chief medical correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta breaks down how injury rates compare between artificial turf and natural turf. Just give me a second here because I have to mute that. I'll let that commercial play through. But, ultimately, it's just one of those things where we gotta really realize that the NFL is playing games in our face, guys. Whether it be Jeffrey Epstein, whether it be the field surfaces, they are not telling people the truth. They're not giving people the full, Monty about the shit. Right now, those field surfaces are shit. Guys are blowing their knees and their legs out left and right. And it's becoming a situation where somebody's going to, so it's going to become a lawsuit for people if it doesn't become solved. And here we go.
About artificial turf versus real grass. Dr. Sanjay Gupta answer those questions. We've got Sarah from Colorado who asks, my daughter has seen a shift from playing soccer on mostly grass fields to almost all turf fields. How do rates of minor injury compare on these two surfaces? Great question, because people forget the kids are out there playing on this stuff too.
This was one of the most common types of questions that we got because there's a lot more turf out there. There's tens of thousands of turf fields now. Here's the bottom line. If you look at games specifically on turf versus grass, and we're talking about youth soccer here, you really don't see a significant difference in terms of injury rates, which was important to know because there's a lot of data out here over decades now. Where it got a little bit interesting, though, is when you looked at injury rates from everyday practices. And what you found there, interestingly, was that there were higher rates of injuries on grass versus turf, which I think has surprised a lot of people who are conducting these studies. But the reason seems to be is the maintenance of the surface. So with grass, harder to maintain, you may have divots, you may have pooling of water. So with youth soccer, that's the thing you really have to pay attention to more than anything else, whether it's turf or grass. What is the overall quality of the surface?
So as you guys see, again, propagandists, you know, we're going to go into this argument again. Like I said, the same guy was telling you to mask up and get your injection. So keep that in mind. But I just wanted to show you the full force argument that's being made by NFL owners and the commissioner right now to get people playing on turf. You know, clearly the injury rate, as he stated, he wanted to make sure he preference because he knew damn well he could get, you know, community noted for it. He wanted to make sure he preference, hey, look, if the field is maintained and maintenance, this will not happen. This will not happen. However, you know, the injury rates were higher on the grass compared to the turf. Well, yeah, I mean, again, you have to have a good drainage system. You have to make sure the grass is being repaired consistently. It does cost, but at the end of the day, you're talking about the livelihoods and the health and the well-being of young athletes and you know, adult athletes. It shouldn't seem like that. It shouldn't seem like fucking rocket science to implement grass fields, but I digress. People, you know, argue what they want. And when you have money and you have the clout that these people have, you're going to sit there and make any type of argument that you can. You could pay to have any argument made to sit there and to disparage people to say, hey, listen, these people don't know what they're talking about. This is better. This makes the most sense, you know. So I don't know. I just really think right now the NFL has got their hands full between being, you know, the 18th game not really, you know, being something that's going to go through at this point, being that they're trying to implement a lot of these field surfaces, and there's a lot of players arguing that the field surfaces should not be installed as turf and it should be grass. I just think there's a lot of things really there that's not done yet or not done being argued on the table for the NFL, and they're definitely going to have to address it if they want to make sure that they have something going forward that presents as a decent product to, you know, the players that are giving them confidence playing out there on the field. One of the other topics I wanted to get into, I just pulled this up here. I'm going to share the screen with you guys. Derek Carr. Derek Carr is back, guys. Now, here's what's hilarious about this as I enjoy my morning sip of tea. Derek Carr. Derek Carr, guys, as we all know, retired a season ago. Stated that it was time for him to retire. He basically, in his words, the words that he used, you know, he basically just felt like, you know, the injuries that he had, he couldn't play with the injury. He didn't want to try to play through it. So ultimately, he wanted to just try to sit this year out or pretty much retire and allow his body to heal. He went to church, you know, made a whole big thing about it, talking about it. And, you know, Derek Carr is one of those guys where, you know, you can tell he's really a passive aggressive, makes a lot of comments after the fact, holds grudges. And again, people are entitled to do whatever the fuck they want to do. It's his life. That being said, though, he definitely is one of those people that holds grudges, you can see. Last year, I did a video, and I'll definitely make sure that it's attached to this video so you guys will be able to see it. I did a video, a short, talking about, it was one of my more popular videos from last year, where I talked about this whole Derek Carr fiasco, and that's really what it was. This whole thing being bullshit. Derek Carr retired because he was going to be benched. Derek Carr was going to be replaced by a rookie quarterback. Now, we all must remember, because there's a lot that has happened, a lot that has transpired. We must remember back a year ago, Saints were trash. Derek Carr gets injured. I think it was the Giants game, does that helicopter flip, lands on the shoulder. Really was never really the same since. They went in with backup quarterbacks, shit the bed, bad year for the Saints, horrible. Saints go into this year, get Kellen Moore as head coach. Kellen Moore becomes the head coach. They draft Tyler Shuck in the second round. You already had Spencer Rattler on the roster. You already had an idea. Excuse me. You already had an idea that they knew they were going to be a bad team. You go into it. Spencer Rattler's getting touches. Tyler Shuck is told early on he's going to get touches. And Derek Carr is notified that this job is not a given to you. You will have to earn it. If not, you definitely will probably be on the bench. Derek Carr believes he's an elite quarterback. With all fairness, been to the playoffs twice. He's not elite. He's not elite by any stretch of the imagination. Definitely injury prone too. So be that as it may. And I've read numerous articles, and like I said, I'll have that linked in the description box of the video. You'll be able to see that. He basically was saying that, I need to step away because I think I really want to go play somewhere else. And it just became a situation where the Saints were kind of playing nice in the media, placating it, making it seem like, no, we're not really trying to get rid of him. It's just more of a thing. His health. He comes out and retires out of nowhere because everybody just assumed he was going to come back and, they were going to have him and Tyler Shuck just battle it out. He retired. Well, he retires. And it was just a foregone conclusion that his shoulder was really bad, And I had people really chiming in, after I did the video, and they were like, hey, you were wrong. This guy was really injured. And I tell anybody, I was born at night, but not last night. If you truly, honestly believe that this man really, 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 really was out of it because he couldn't play anymore, his shoulder was so shot, bullshit. He played bad. The team was ass. He knew they were drafting a young quarterback. He knew the writing on the wall. He knew it was being presented in front of him. His whole mindset was, hey, fuck it. Let me get in front of it. Let me try to get control of the situation. Let me not allow them to have dictation over my life and my playing career. And let me try to actually make something of it. Understood. Got it. Now, here's the problem, though. You haven't played well enough football-wise to warrant anybody to really want you. I mean, just being fucking honest, like you haven't played well enough at all. Derek Carr has been very mediocre. Very mediocre. So that being said, there's a report that comes out during the week of the Super Bowl. This is linked via NFL.com, as you guys will see here on the screen. Make sure I share what you see. You can see it. There's a report that comes out from Derek Carr. You finally hear back from Derek Carr. And like I said, it says, Derek Carr, quote, I'd only unretired to play for Super Bowl contender. Wait, what? Derek Carr, you haven't been a Super Bowl contender anywhere you've been. You haven't been a Super Bowl contender anywhere you've been. Anyway, he goes on, and it goes into it. You read into the article, heading into an offseason with questionable available quarterback pool, which obviously that's usually most years, but they try to placate, just to help guys out in free agency. You got to remember the media and the players also work hand in hand too. Don't ever get that misconstrued. There are some media beefs, but a lot of times, more than not, it works hand in hand. Anyway, heading into an offseason with a questionable available quarterback pool, Derek Carr's name has piqued interest around the NFL. I think that's agent talk, honestly. NFL Network insiders Ian Rappaport, Mike Garafolo, and Tom Pelissero reported on Sunday that Carr could unretire in 2026, provided the right situation and coaching staff materialize. The 34-year-old Carr confirmed the thought process during his Homegrown with David and Derek Carr podcast. Oh, look at that. The brothers got a podcast. Everybody got a podcast now. Would I do it? Yes. Would I do it for anybody? Absolutely not. Would I do it? Absolutely, I would. I told you two things. I have to be healthy, and I want a chance to win a Super Bowl. And obviously, that's a tough thing to find. That's hard to do. That's not easy. David Carr will go in further to chime in, stating, quote, that noting that he knows that Derek is healthy, to which the later sheepishly chuckled in a tacit confirmation. So again, you hear this and they go into the article going into what I just referenced about his injury. He announced his retirement last year from the Saints last spring due to a labral tear in his rotator cuff. The quarterback's injury could have been repaired by surgery. Again, I want you to key in on that part right there. The quarterback's injury could have been repaired by surgery, but it would have put his ability to play last season in jeopardy, meaning he would have been benched. With that reality hanging overhead, the Saints and the quarterback agreed on a retirement pact. With Carr hinting that he's healthy enough to play now, fit would be the most important piece of the puzzle. Teams with Super Bowl-worthy rosters that still need a starting quarterback aren't readily available. Carr noted that he rebuffed offers during the season. Oh, I bet he did. I had to say no a couple times so far. Bullshit. The insiders reported that one of these teams was the Bengals, who contacted Carr after Joe Burrow went down with a toe injury. Let me just say this. It's not that I don't believe that per se, but when you say a couple of times, I think that possibly was the only call. I don't see the Minnesota Vikings knocking down his door. I don't see a lot of teams, even the Jets, I don't see a lot of teams that were really beating down the door. Maybe a couple of years ago they would have, but I don't see them this past season beating down the door, especially if you're talking about a shoulder injury, which goes to my argument. The shoulder injury was bullshit. He could have easily gotten his work done, could have easily gotten his fix, and been back out there on the field. He was not trying to be back out there on the field because why? He already knew he was not going to be able to play. And you guys know how the fuck this works. If you're not able to play, you're not able to put out and show up, what's going to happen? You're going to get benched. The best ability is availability, and his ass wasn't going to be available. So he realized, you know what? Fuck it. Let me jump in front of it. Let me go ahead and retire. If the right situation did materialize for the quarterback, compensation with the Saints, who still hold his contract rights, would have to be worked out, which obviously is the key there. The insider suggested that the price wouldn't be unreasonable, for a player who has no future in New Orleans. Still, Carr isn't free to sign with whomever he wants, i.e., if the Atlanta Falcons wanted to bring in the veteran, the Saints could, in theory, play hardball with their rivals. So you got to pay attention there, because these NFL guys are plugged the fuck in. Make no mistake. They don't throw names out there of certain teams out there as an example for no reason. Obviously, Derek Carr has been linked to the Atlanta Falcons. Kevin Stefanski just being there. The Michael Penix situation. Oh, goody. Kevin Stefanski with another young black quarterback. Let's see how this goes. And please, and I do apologize if you think that I'm just trying to make it a race-related type thing, because obviously he's coached other quarterbacks. Obviously, they were black and different races. What I mean by that is he didn't do a great job of developing Shedeur. Now, I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a great quarterback yet, by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't think he really managed him well. The connection with Stefanski and Matt Ryan and him going to Atlanta, it's all just fuck shit. I don't know. It just seemed weird that comment was made in this article, and we all know the situation with Michael Penix dealing with an injury, already come back off another injury. So just keep that in mind, guys. When you hear little things drop like that, that's little tidbits being thrown out there. Nope, not for nothing, but David Carr joked several times about the possibility of his younger brother being connected to a purple and gold team. The elder Carr quipped that he was referring to being a Lakers fan. The Minnesota Vikings also obviously down purple and gold are in need of a veteran quarterback to push J.J. McCarthy for the starting spot. So they pushing J.J. McCarthy secretly in the building. A lot of people did not want J.J. McCarthy as quarterback. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah wanted him. Obviously, he's out the building, so the clock is ticking now for J.J. McCarthy. But yeah, Derek Carr is definitely sold a bill of goods. And I just want to make sure that I take my victory lap here this morning and say to anybody who didn't believe me, fuck off. Because clearly I knew what the hell I was talking about. This was not about him being injured. This was about money. This was about money, and this is about him being a starting quarterback. I don't know what he meant about the whole being able to compete for a Super Bowl thing. First of all, every team, let me be honest. out of the 32 teams in the NFL, 8 to 12 have a realistic shot of winning a championship. The New Orleans Saints are not one of them. They weren't one of them last year. They weren't one of them 2 years ago. They weren't one of them 3 years ago. So Derek Carr talking about going to a team that he could play for, you've done nothing to show that you can even play of the standard to what a team needs to win a championship. I mean, this man, God knows the interceptions this man is throwing in key moments. God knows the turnovers he's committed in key moments. So I just find it startling that he's so willing to come back. He's so willing to make a move and try to just get back into things and just jump into the swing of things. Hey, I'm healthy. I'm ready. No, you going to a roster is not moving the needle for anyone. It doesn't matter who the fuck it is. It is not moving the needle for anybody's roster. I mean, listen, the Atlanta Falcons, let's be real. If he goes to Atlanta, right, let's just play devil's advocate and see. If he goes to Atlanta, isn't this the Oakland Raiders all over again? Crabtree, the running game, tight end. Granted, I don't think he had a tight end as dynamic as what Kyle Pitts is for Atlanta. However, that being said, I just don't see that as a good mix. I don't. Minnesota. Possibly in Minnesota, but I just feel like J.J. McCarthy had a situation last year where the expectations were high. And granted, he didn't play that great. He had some mediocre games. He was inconsistent. But I expect that from a guy who didn't have a full rookie season to play. I expect that from a guy who had to really overcome a lot to really be in that position to really even put himself in position to play. So not really shocked there by any of that. But be that as it may, I mean, when you start really thinking and really, breaking it down, J.J. McCarthy is going to just need more time to play. Reps and repetition is the only thing that gets a guy ready, in situations like that. You're not going to get better by not playing. And you're damn sure not getting better by watching Derek fucking Carr. I mean, it's just not happening. I'm sorry. Derek Carr is not moving the needle for anyone. And then, the story about him getting a couple of calls. I believe Tom Pelissero in the Bengals story. I believe that. The Bengals were up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. They knew Joe's out. We don't know if we're getting Joe back at the end of the year or when. And it became a situation where they were like, we got to really do something. We got to really, batten down the hatches and get somebody in there, because I think they had Jake Browning at the time. And we all know Jake Browning at all, didn't do shit to really move the needle for, the New Orleans Saints. I mean, not New Orleans Saints, for the Cincinnati Bengals. But yeah, it's very crazy how things played out. But Derek Carr definitely bullshitted everybody, and I said it. I thought he was doing it. I thought he was bullshitting all the time, and lo and behold, it came out to be true. Before we take off today, I want to make sure that I touched on one other article. Something that I thought was very interesting. And it actually was dropped late yesterday. It was revealed this morning by Pro Football Talk's Michael David Smith. I'm going to share my screen with you guys so you can see it real quick. And as you guys see here, Jaguars plan to make Travis Hunter a starting cornerback and a part-time receiver. Woo! Why is this not shocking in the least bit? Let's just say, for lack of better words, right, guys? We all knew that it was going to be a tall order watching Travis Hunter, play wide receiver and corner. It's going to be a lot. It was going to be a lot. We knew that this kid was going to have to really, really batten down the hatches and really get it together. But body didn't hold up, which I expected, because you're talking about literally NFL football, where you're talking about guys got to honestly sit there and, you're playing more games than you played in college. You're taking hits from guys that are bigger, stronger, and faster. And I'm supposed to be under the inclination that, he's just going to last, and he's going to be able to play both sides of the field, and he's not going to get injured, and there's not going to be any problems. Clearly, that wasn't the issue. In 2025, Jaguars rookie wide receiver and cornerback played exactly twice as many snaps on offense as he did on defense, which was clearly a mistake. He was on the field for 324 offensive plays and 162 defensive plays before suffering a season-ending knee injury. This year, things may be different. The Jaguars' plan is to make Hunter a starting quarterback and play full-time on defense while only playing part-time at wide receiver. So that really clearly lets you know right there. That matches what Jaguars general manager James Gladstone said a month ago when he indicated that the current makeup of the Jaguars roster gave them a greater need at cornerback, but that Hunter would continue playing at least some of the time on both sides of the ball. And then, obviously to lead to this point, this is obvious. He didn't have a major impact on either side of the ball. He had 28 catches for 298 yards and 1 touchdown, while on defense he had 11 solo tackles and 3 passes defended and no interceptions. Now, I know that most people see that as 28 catches and right around the 300 yards and think, hey, well, that's not that bad. Guys, I'm going to say something to you now. He should have been playing defense. He should have been playing defense from the start. I get what Jacksonville did. You needed a spark. You needed to generate interest. You had nobody really looking for you. You had nobody interested. There was talks that the team was possibly going to move. So I get it. I get it completely why they did what they did. That being said, he's too damn small. I mean, we all knew this. He was too damn skinny. I mean, yeah, in college, you can get away with playing both sides of the ball and not really being challenged like that. But in the NFL, that shit's not going to fly. In college, guys are playing to get drafted. In the NFL, guys are playing for tuitions and Maseratis, and vacation homes. So it's just it's different, new level, new devil. So that being said, I think this is going to be great for Travis Hunter's career. It sucks for the Browns because Jaguars actually made the playoffs. So not going to get that high of a pick as they were expecting. But Travis Hunter, Jaguars actually made the playoffs without Travis Hunter. So kind of weird, but again, it speaks to what they've been able to build there. James Gladstone, shout out to Liam Cohen. Trevor Lawrence definitely has to fucking play better, but credit to the roster they've been developing there. In 1 year, able to turn a lot of things around. But I think this is going to be a great thing for Travis Hunter because I definitely feel like he's too damn small, too damn frail to be trying to play wide receiver and corner. And I just feel he's better at corner than he will be a wide receiver. Like I said, before we wrap things up, definitely check out the description box with links in it for this video to PlayStation Direct if you're looking to incorporate or to, just spice up your PlayStation itinerary. Definitely make sure you check that out. If you're looking for anything to protect your computer, your software, home PCs, work PCs, definitely check out Malware Bytes, the #1 leader in the world for security defense against all types of viruses that can potentially attack your computer. Also, too, for my UK fans out there and for my people over here in the United States, definitely check out the StubHub links. A lot of huge concerts, a lot of huge venues right now, a lot of different things to really unpack, to dive into with your time off, or if you got vacations coming up. It's Valentine's Day for those that are out there that are watching. Happy Valentine's Day. So if you're looking to definitely make some of your weekend, make some of your, your next month or two, definitely check out the links within the description box of this video. But I'm going to go ahead and get to it, guys. I got to get my own Valentine's Day situated. Also got work myself. So a lot of things to really get into for the day. But glad you guys are here with me on this beautiful Saturday morning. Hope you guys are staying safe and sound. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care and enjoy your Saturday.